In this section, we will look at how we can use linear search to look for an item within a list. So linear search is a sequential search algorithm, which means that it starts at the beginning of the list and looks for an item by moving through the items in the list one by one until it either finds a matching value within the list or it reaches the end of the list without finding a match. If it does find a match, it will return true, and otherwise it will return false. So let's have a look at the program. Here we have a function called linear search, and it takes two values as input. The first one is the item that we want to search for, and the second one is the list itself, so the entire list that we want to search. In here, in the function, we have a Boolean value and we set it to false. And that's because initially we haven't found the item. This Boolean variable is called isFound, and if we find the item within the list, then this is going to be set to true. But initially we haven't found the item, and that's because we haven't started the search. So we set it to false. We then have another variable called index, which is set to 0. We know that the items within a list have indexes, and the first item starts from 0, second one is 1, and so on. We set the index to 0 because we want to start the search from the beginning of the list. Now here we have a while loop. We say while this index is less than the length of ls. So that means while we haven't reached the end of the list, and not is found, so we haven't found the item. So for as long as we haven't reached the end of the list and haven't found the item, we want to run this code. Let's inspect the while loop. So the first time it goes round the loop, the index is 0, so ls0 is the first item in the list. It checks to see if the first item in the list is the same as the item that we want to search for. And if it is, it will set this Boolean value to true. So it will go through each item within the list until isFound becomes true or the end of the list is reached. And if the end of the list is reached and the item is not found, then isFound is going to remain as false, and so it will return false. Let's do a quick recap. We use a search algorithm when we want to look for an item in a list. And linear search is the simplest search algorithm. It is a sequential search algorithm, which means that it looks for an item by moving through the items in the list one by one. Now, your list does not need to be ordered. You need to remember this. And this search algorithm is okay if you have a small list, but not efficient for very large lists. So for example, what if the item you want to search for is at the end of a very large list? You would need to go through each element one by one until you reach the end of the list. So it's sequential, it's efficient for small lists, but not so for large lists, and your list does not need to be sorted.